And we are back, and we just finished watching 2022's Sisu, rated R, with a runtime of 1 hour and 31 minutes. This is brought to you by writer-director Jalmari Helander. I think I said that correctly. If I didn't, I apologize. This tells the story of a Finnish soldier who decides to leave the war behind him and instead focus on just gold mining. And he lives, or I don't even know if he lives anywhere. He's got a tent set up. He's got a dog and a horse, and he is just just trying to find. He's a prospect for gold.
Yeah, he like panning in a river and digging in the dirt
and finds a little nugget, and then goes and digs and finds a huge piece of gold.
Yeah.
And promptly fills 2 satchels and goes about his way. But then encounters Nazis.
Yes, this
just
takes place during World War II.
Can't seem to mind their business.
Yeah.
Yes, I think when this movie started, it said it's 1944. So we're at the tail end of the war.
Of the German part of the war, anyway.
Yes.
Yeah, and the Germans are basically burning everything they can in Finland as they try and make their final escape.
What did you think?
I thought it was good.
Just good?
Yeah. The raid has ruined me. This was really good. That there were like good bits of like violent action and whatnot, gory bits. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I felt like maybe there were more gory bits, but maybe that it was edited or something.
I don't think so.
In no way am I saying that. Am I disappointed in this movie?
Yeah.
This movie. It made a promise, and it kept it. I got to see Nazis get killed in very creative and explosive, often, ways.
Yeah.
And, from the first kill to the last, I mean, the last was definitely sort of like a tribute to the 90s where the bad guy is dispatched in a spectacular fashion, which I always love.
Yeah.
So I mean, you see it coming, but it doesn't make it any less satisfying.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny watching this movie. You see all the influences of other movies.
Yeah,
it's so wild, right? Like the lone guy. You think about all of these like spaghetti westerns and Clint Eastwood and stuff, and
yeah, this
the
was
lead
definitely
was
like
like that. Like he doesn't talk a lot. I mean, he only talks at the end.
The first words he says are right at the end, and he's speaking Finnish. So I don't know what the hell he said. It was probably just, "Here's my gold, deposit it now," or something like that.
But it was interesting because again, this writer-director definitely is a fan of other things, and all those other things amalgamate in this film. And you can see whether it's what you were saying, how in the 90s the bad guys were dispatched in spectacular fashions, or just the level of violence and gore attached to that violence. Some of the fight scenes in this were really impressive, especially because the lead is not a young man, or at least he's not portrayed to be as a young man.
Yeah, he's an older guy, but like they made him just grizzled. He is like just like a piece of old steak.
Yeah.
When you see him take off his shirt, he's not like, you're not like oohing and on at his physique.
Yeah,
but
he's not on the Marvel diet.
Yeah, he is torn up.
Yes,
he's
all
got
the scars,
just ridiculous scarring all over his body. This is a guy who has seen a lot.
Yeah, and lived through a lot.
And then you get the backstory when they have like the little exposition moment in the tank.
Yeah,
and it's completely understandable.
Yeah.
Like this guy is
not immortal, but he refuses to die.
He's not immortal, but he refuses to die. And that is very, very true. They portray that excellently in this movie.
Yeah.
It really does, like you said, sort of like harken back to that sort of character who gets to just put through a grinder.
Yeah.
And still comes out to the point where the bad guys are just like, "Why won't you die?"
And the bad guy does say that.
Yeah. And some of the bad guys are just like, "All right,
yeah,
you do you just
do you.
You do you." I'm not like when the scene with the guys on the motorbike.
That was great.
He just points his pickaxe at them, and they're just like, They drop their machine guns and they get off the bike and they
We're
just
good, my dude.
hightail it out of there.
Yeah, we're good, my dude. That was funny. That was hilarious. Yeah, and it's shot so pretty. Like you see the countryside and And at first it felt like it might be slow, but once it gets to where it's going to eventually go, it just goes. It just goes. I mean, it's still kind of a slower paced film than like something like John Wick. And even watching this, I was thinking about the Wick movies and just John Wick as a character, right? Against the world. And
like
this guy is very much
die.
Yes. And this character, yes, he has what was it? The Russians called him immortal. John Wick is Baba Yaga. It's very much
it's sort of
steeped in lore and legend and just really, really well done. And again, it's always impressive when you see a story that doesn't really have, I mean, the Nazis in this have more dialogue, right? The guy that was heading up that convoy and stuff, like they seem to have more dialogue and stuff, but it still doesn't take away from the film. And even the Sisu character, or Atama, I think was his name, just really well done. And again, the mark of really good storytelling and the mark of a really good actor to be able to convey and make you feel for him when he's hurt. You feel bad for him when you feel like everything is just, oh no, this is it. You feel bad for the character because it's like, we've come on this journey with you and we want you to like make it to the end.
And seriously, and like fate is on his side because even when there's that point where it's just like completely hopeless. It somehow works out, and it's really it is really well done. And like I said, I said it's good. That is in no way a bad mark.
No,
it's just
it's different.
I don't know, maybe because I watched some stuff recently about the raid, about like what makes it so good. And
did you forward that to me? No,
of course not.
You son of a gun. You better send it to me so I can get on that.
All right, I'll send it to you. But I mean, the guy touched on things that I touched on in the review of the raid too, especially in how like the way the camera works with the fighting.
We've never reviewed the raid 2, by the way.
Or the raid. We reviewed the raid.
Right.
But how the camera works with the
action.
Yeah. And this was falling more into the camp of what they were talking about in other films where they rely on a lot of cuts. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of cuts to this action, and now that I've seen the other way of doing it, I'm just like, okay, that could have been a little bit more dynamic now. That's the
beauty of the raid.
The beauty of the raid, and the fact that it's like a double-edged sword. You're seeing like just the pinnacle of greatness, and now the bar is set so high.
Yes, it's true.
This is nothing to snuff at. This is still fun and still great.
And good storytelling.
Good storytelling.
When you can get somebody to co-sign on a character who doesn't have hardly any lines.
He doesn't say, no, I would say if that last scene never happened, he didn't say a single word in that entire movie.
No. He grunted.
Yeah.
He screamed at the heavens, but yeah, really, really well done. And again, like nicely shot. It's funny because
it's really
you never think of like these types of movies as like prestige, like cinema. But in some cases, like the landscape in this is really nicely shot and stuff, and the details, and it's crisp and it's clear. I don't know what kind of film stock they use these days, but like really,
probably
really
digital.
Yeah, probably. But it just really nicely, and even like the dark scenes looked nice. And sometimes that's funny because it's like sometimes you lose stuff when there's no light. But here again, maybe like you said, maybe it's just digital, and it's all just really, really handled very well. All the actors do a magnificent job. Obviously the leads, but also like even the characters that don't have a lot of screen time, the women in one of the trucks, their story is interesting because they're obviously victims and they get to come out on top at the end.
Yeah, definitely. This was, I would definitely recommend going.
I would definitely recommend it too, and I think I would definitely recommend it too. And I think for anyone that likes to see other things melded into their storytelling. Again, this filmmaker, this writer-director definitely feels like he is a fan of this genre, and it translates absolutely in every frame of his film. And again, just being able to pick at pieces in here that remind, at least for me as a viewer, reminded me of other things. I love that, because to me, that's like, it's a nod to the past, right? And it's like, it's an homage and almost like a call out, right, to things that came before and incorporating them into the new. And this movie, to me, had a lot of like very obvious influences.
Yeah. Like I felt like the title cards was very Tarantino-esque.
Right. For sure.
Yeah. And also just like the way the women were handled, especially at the end, that one scene where they're all sort of like walking forward with the guns.
Yeah.
When they confront that one Nazi.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that definitely
is definitely Tarantino-esque.
Definitely Tarantino-esque.
Yeah. It would have been funny to get a sort of Wes Anderson shot, but in the mix. But
see an action film shot entirely in the style of Wes Anderson. Just brutal. Like
that would be hilarious.
Guys doing salat and stuff, just crushing windpipes.
But I mean, definitely, like, I felt like, I mean, I don't want to give too much of it away, because I think this is definitely a movie that you should go into blindly.
Well, I mean, you go into it blind, but there's really not much to give away. It really, if you see the trailer, you know what the movie is. There's no big twists or turns.
True.
They describe in the trailer to describe what this guy is supposed to represent. Basically, just a guy who refuses to die, and he's killing Nazis.
Yeah, and what could be better than that?
And that is pretty much the whole movie. Yeah. It's him killing Nazis. The end.
You know what? You're not wrong.
Yeah, it's not like as though
there's really nothing else to say about this film.
It's not like he has like some sort of, he develops a relationship with one of the women in the truck, or even a strong relationship with his dog. The dog is sort of like it's there, and then it's not there for huge swaths of the film, and then it's there again. You get a little backstory. There's no real flashbacks. It's no dwelling on guilt or heartfelt speeches.
Yeah. He is a tragic character.
He's a tragic character, and he does everything silently. Everything is done with his expression and his mannerisms, and it really is. It's I mean, it's funny. We just watched the silent movie today.
Yeah, The General.
It could have been a silent movie with just placards where the Nazis are talking. Because seriously, the main character doesn't say a word. He is just this killing machine. Yeah. And he didn't want to be, like, he was like happy to just walk past the Nazis.
Yeah, just mind his business.
He didn't get involved when he saw the girl peek out from the hole in the tarp on the truck. Mm-hmm. It was just, I'm on my way. You mind your business. I'll mind mine. But then that second group of guys just decided, hey, let's mess with this dude.
Yeah, I guess he looked like an old guy mistake. That they could, push around. But we've done films recently where violence sort of propels the story. And you could definitely make a case for that here. It absolutely propels the story. It adds to the story. It's almost like its own entity in this film. And the violence is really, really over the top here. Really over the top.
Some of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome. I mean, it's spectacular. Some of it really is spectacular. Like I said, some of the fight scenes, now that I've really been going on deep dives on the Raid, it doesn't measure up to that, but they're still fun. It's still fun, and like I said, it'll remind you a bit of the 90s. That level of violence, spectacular deaths, people exploding, being torn to pieces, that sort of thing.
This is not a film for children. This is rated R for a reason.
Rated R for a reason, yeah. We're happy we didn't normally we let our kids see.
And we thought about watching it with them, but we actually watched this kind of late, and they're already in bed for school. So I'm glad that they missed it because there was a scene there that they probably would have been really upset about.
Not have liked.
Yeah. We won't spoil it, but since this is fairly new, I think it's 1 to 10. What would you give this?
I would give this an 8.
I too would give this an 8. I think from where it starts to where it ends, it's an interesting story. It's told very well. The actors all do a really great job of bringing it all together. The set design, the costuming, all of that works really well. Obviously, the special effects as well. All adds to the film, adds to the story. I too would give it an 8. I think it's definitely, if this is in your wheelhouse of stuff. I mean, obviously, if you like more talky types movies, this is not for you. If you are squeamish, this is not for you. If you enjoy documentaries and slice of life type movies, this is not for you. But if you like action adventure, if you like Nazis getting the crap kicked out of them, yeah, head on over to Prime and rent Sisu. I think it's still playing in the theater.
Maybe.
Possibly. And go check that out. It's a wild ride, but it's a fun wild ride for sure. For
Absolutely.
sure. All right, that's it from us, and we will bid everyone a
good night.
Good night.